Hi folks, well, oil, painting, knives, paints, yellow ochre, ultramarine, red ochre. I bought a big tube of that, but you can use burnt sienna, or you can use light red, Payne's grey and cadmium yellow pale. 2mm MDF is very hard. Because it's very thin, it needs to be, it's very compressed and a super bit of material. I've rubbed it down, given it one coat of PVA. The watercolourist of you will be dismayed to know that I've got another 5 boards preparing at the moment, just drying out, and I'll give those a second coat. Right, okay, now what should we do? This is going to be very basic, well I hope it's going to be basic until I start to struggle with it. Basic knife painting in oil. You can use acrylic, but acrylic dries very quickly, and so I wouldn't recommend it. Well, yeah, you can if you can work fast, but the problem is when acrylic dries quickly, it leaves the knife marks, and very hard then to scrape over them. So it's better to keep it small and work wet in wet with acrylic. And if you can blend it with something like I've got, when I get round to it, I use veterinary gel. It's a cheap acrylic and it does help the flow. But with oil, well, I'm not going to use anything with this. The oil, these are student quality, and they're diluted enough with oil, so we don't need to add any more to that. So I thought a bit of a coastal scene now. My problem is if I put the rocks there, if I put them there, or the cliff, or even just a few rocks on the beach, I'll get my little finger in the yellow or the ochre. But look, already got covered. But it all washes off with dishwasher liquid. So let's put a bit of a rock here, and one there. We'll have a horizon there, and we can put in a bit of a rock there. Okay, and the tide will come into about here. Just to remind me, that's all the drawing you need to do. Just an indication of where to put the paint. Now, the first thing you've got to decide is what sort of sky you want. Do you want a dark horizon, dark cloud coming up over the horizon, or do you want a light horizon? Well, I think I'm going to do a plain blue, and I like to mix quite well. I need to put a bit more white. I like to mix a bit of Payne's grey with the blue to kill the brightness of it. I can put that there. Thanks Brian for giving me the idea of the tabs on the back so that I can paint right to the edge of the board. I've also got my palette supported as well as these clips. I've got it anchored as well so you can see them there, and I've put 3 side on the MDF panel, so it's pretty good. Very pleased with that. There you can see the oil running out of the paint there. So we just see what I mean. The cheaper student qualities are very oily, but they're very good. They take, well, the knife paintings probably take about 4 or 5 days to dry or touch dry, which is okay if you've got space, but I'm running out of space in my studio. I've got a loft above this room as well, like a loft above the loft conversion, and I've got about a dozen packets, about so deep, with all the watercolours, acrylics, oils, not canvas, I don't use canvas, it's just too bulky for the space I have available. And I've got a large room here. One corner is for ironing and hanging washing to air, which is fine. But the rest of the room is about 16 by 16 feet. And I've got two large tables and a smaller movable table and a roller table as well. So I'm very fortunate to have this. But I paint a lot. I do about 8 for YouTube and Patreon a week, or even more sometimes. Right, the temperature is very warm. Rain is threatened later, but it's very close. Lovely. So I'm pleased about that. Okay, so let's just mix up a bit of this paint. Put a bit of Payne's Grey in there. Load of ultramarine. Just a little bit. You probably would need to mix up quite a bit of paint to start with, because you'll need to repeat the colour. But I can do that anyway, but I've had a lot of experience doing these simple little things. So okay, so let's just get some paint on. I haven't decided whether I'm going to spread this with a brush, but I should probably do it as a knife, leave it as a knife painting, like all over. Bit of stuff there. When you come down to get lower with the blue, you can add a bit more lighter blue to it. Just get the painting on. This is more slick than the 3mm MDF, which is more fibrous because it's thicker, it's a bit stronger, but it's a lovely surface to paint on. It really grips the paint. Okay. Just spread it around a bit. You need plenty of paper. I bought half a dozen big rolls of blue kitchen paper, at a grocery supermarket, Macro. They're only £6 each, they worked out, pound a roll, which is very good. Now I can see the knife marks on there. Now we're going to make this lighter now. But not too light, because I want to put some light cloud over it. I can sort of blend that as well. Just get it on. Very important to keep your horizon horizontal, of course. So with the watercolour, if it's a bit crooked, you can adjust that in amount. But with this you can't. Alright, let's just blend that nicely. Clean my knife. Alright, so now a bit of bit of bluish white. So you get that streakiness in the sky, which I like. Just a little bit on there. Okay, a bit over the top. Now remember, you are using knives and not a brush, so you've got to realise that you're not, well, unless you're very skillful, you're not going to make a knife painting look like a brush painting. But as often as not, I use a brush in the sky, but you use the solid stuff like down here. But just these high clouds. Light on the top. Well, really, that'll do. This is a demo after all. Right, now let's put the horizon in. I think. So I'm just pushing the paint in. Right, now what colour do we want for scene? Well, I've always found that ultramarine and yellow ochre to be a good sea colour. That's a bit too much ochre in there. Plenty of blue. Let's put plenty of blue, and then we can lighten it with a bit of light. Now that's a good sea colour, and we can modify it as we come down. So let's get come across. Right, let's work that in. Be very careful, try not to get too bogged down on that line. But what you don't want to do, sorry if my head's in the way, I got told off about that. I can't see whether my head's in the way or not. It's trying to get everything the right angle is nigh on impossible, but if I lower the back, this is on my box easel, my travelling studio. If I lower it a bit, I might be able to move the camera closer and above it. So let's try that. I hope it doesn't fall down. Right, so I'll move the camera there. Oh, there we go. We'll go that way a little bit. Okay, you can see everything there. Now, are we going uphill? Looks like it, doesn't it? Okay, well that's a good sea coast. That's pretty level. I think we might be going up a little bit here. What you don't want to do is put a bit of masking tape across the whole horizon, because when you remove it, it's got a hard line. And if you can get a sorry, I've got to change my radio station. Talk Radio Live. No, it's on YouTube. Right. Waiting for Mike Graham. Okay. I'm still. So I'm struggling with this because that is going up like hill. But it's okay if you can, if you want to blend it on the horizon, if you can, better still. That's better. Let's see if we can just blend this a little bit. I know when you look at a photograph of a horizon sea, it looks as if it is an absolute obvious demarcation line between the sky and the sea, but it doesn't always look right. If you blend it, if you bring the sky into the, it's easier with a brush, bring the sky into the sea and the sea into the sky, you'll get that nice softness. It's not too obvious. And I still reckon I could go up there a little bit here. Right, okay, we'll let that go. So now we want a bit of moderation in that sea. We don't want it just one colour. We just want to bring it down there. Just a bit of light. I'll put the rocks in a minute. Let's get the darker tone back. Just mix a bit of blue with that. So we get different tones throughout the sea. Otherwise it'll be a bit too monotonous. So we can use a bit of this. Look, we don't want a flat sea, do we? Let's get that there. Okay, that's a little bit better. Just blend that a little bit. Right, okay, now just a little bit in there. Down there, and we will just bring that sea further down, and then we'll go into some yellow ochre. as we come into the beach. Okay. Right, now we'll put this island in, so we'll have a bit of red, bit of ochre. Oh, let's have a bit of blue. More blue. Now, don't want to make the thing symmetrical. That's alright. Bit of ochre in there. Now that's all right. Now what we want to do now is just get a bit of lighter sea colour. In, and some nice white breakers. Just pure white here. If you've had too much to drink the night before, your hands might be a bit shaky. Yeah, that'll do. That's good. Now we want a warmer tone. Well, we just get a bit of that ochre stuff on here. These MDF palettes are, well, not palettes, well they are, but it's homemade. This is just offcuts, and sometimes I put a bit of linseed oil on them first to let it soak in, but it's such a hard surface I don't think it works really well. Doesn't matter, they're just throw away. Use them 4 or 5 times, 6 times. Scrape your paint, well you don't want to scrape your paint off. What I do, because I usually squeeze out more than I'm going to use, I cover it with cling film so that I can carry on painting the next day. But 2 days while the ultramarine starts to go dry, and 1 or 2 other colours, so this will do me for a couple of days. Right, I'm going to start working on this one here now. Just simple colours. So the more colours you have, the more complicated it is. It's hard enough. We're going to have to go dark on there for that to show. So get the ultramarine or Payne's grey, bit of red. All about contrast. Light against dark. See, the sea is a mid-tone, so we're going to go in with not such a mid-tone here. Let's have a little bit of that, bit of ochre in there. Bit of grey. Just got to create an impression of a rock. We don't want to say, well, we're doing a rock here. What we're doing is an impression of a rock. Now you know that's a rock because on a beach and the water's going to be swirling around, so it's pretty obvious. So avoid the detail. We don't use that word if we can help it. I think I prefer the red there. And I can put some highlights in these rocks in the front. Darken that a little bit. Right, get some more dark. See, Payne's grey is a very, very useful colour. I'm keeping it on the warm side with the red ochre. Right, let's get some good darks in there now. Okay, let's get a nice grey colour. And just put that in there. Counter change. Just making it grey. Get my radio station there. No, I'm still waiting. That's not good. I'll get that darker there. Oh. So I've got a grey, I just want a grey. Maybe if I put that dark and, well, that light and that dark, let's try that. No, let's get that off. It's looking better already. So we want a dark grey, well, but not too dark. A bit of ochre in that. So we get the dark in here, or darker, and then we can put some light . Okay, that's a bit better. I'm struggling with this. Don't usually. That's still too light there. Light against dark all the time. That's a bit better. Now let's go darker in here. Of course that's all in shadow there. Right, okay, that's one rock. Now we're putting some ochre. I'll just scrape that off. Clean that. That's going to be our sandy colour. A nice bit of negative painting there. Okay, now we want a bit of this sea colour back now. Right, where is it? There it is. Well, I know what we'll do. We'll put some blue in there because it's reflecting the sky, but only very light. A bit of reflection in the sea there. Now coming in here, put that other rock in, I think. Right, now let's use those colours there. Okay, let's just put a bit of dark in here. You do get a little bit of a greeny stuff on the rocks, so that's good dark. It's dark. Right, okay, let's bring the wallpaper. And we'll just oops, too much of that. Just a little bit of shadow under the sort of ripples. Right, let's just go back to the edge of that rock there. Good idea. Put that there. Right, put a bit of right, now we want darker yellow ochre. Every man's grey coming up here. Work it in. Sort of dark behind that rock a little bit. So a bit of shadow in there. And coming into some lighter stuff there. bit darker there. Just going to enter that edge. Right, a bit of blue. Just a bit of reflection in there. The sky wet. And some seaweed. Okay, cool, that was a struggle. Right, okay. How long have we? 42 minutes, oh, not too bad. Right, I'll put it in the frame and we'll have a look at it with my got my knife. Let's just cut through there. Okay, so that's that out of the way. I might have recourse to that in a moment when I see if we've got a disaster here. Okay. Let's go slide down. So let's put that there with a bit of tape holding it. Oh no, we don't need to. This is at the. You probably can't see this, but I'm just putting a piece of thin MDF and clipping it to the bottom. Oh, I can go a bit higher. So I'm going to rest my frame on that. Let's get that at the bottom. Okay, now we can quite safely cut through those tabs. Throw the bits away. I'm sorry I made the rocks a bit more difficult than I'd hoped. I think you need to go for these things and leave them alone. Don't fiddle too much. I don't think my contrasts are very good in that. Right, I'll just go and put that in the frame, so bear with me. Just a couple of pins just to hold it. Don't want to bang your pins right in or anything like that, just enough to hold in the frame to photograph it or shows. Oh, put a lot of my paintings on my bookcase above the, behind and above the TV, so that I can see them. Oh, there we are. So I hope you like that, folks. Plenty of variety in the sea there. We could probably put in a bit more. No, don't fiddle. Leave it, leave it. Fiddling is the death of many paintings. So I'll get this uploaded, then hopefully you can have a go at something like it. Copy it by all means. But don't pass it off as your own. Right, okay, see you soon. Bye bye.